still watching the Hallowed Chambers, and I have with me here a very special guest who was a member of the House of Representatives and served for 5 terms, and now he is a senator representing the good people of Borno North Senatorial District. His name is Senator Mohammed Moguno. It's good to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
And then congratulations on the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly.
Thank you very much.
Well, we saw that the position of the Senate President was keenly contested, and eventually Senator Godwin Emefiele emerged as the Senate President. Now the elections are over. What would you say about those that lost out? Do you think they've gotten over what happened? I'm talking about Senator Abdulaziz Yari. Do you think he has gotten over what happened? And do you think he and his other colleagues who supported him would be ready to work with the new man on the seat of the Senate President?
Well, what happened during the contest for the office of the Senate Presidency is a normal occurrence in a democratic dispensation. The contestation for power is not an invitation to a tea party. Definitely you will have such contest, bitter struggle for power and what have you. But the beauty of it is that from the acceptance speech of the Senate President and from the speech of Senator Yari immediately after the election clearly shows that the principle of magnanimity in victory and gallantry in defeat is in play, because the Senate President immediately after his victory extended an olive branch to all and sundry, those who voted for him and those who voted against him, to coalesce into a single force with a view to strengthening the Senate, stabilizing the Senate for the purpose of making very robust laws that is in tandem with the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians. While Senator Yari has also shown gallantry in defeat by clearly saying that his participation in the contest has even further strengthened democracy, and he participated in the contest because of some deep-seated principles that he believes in. He wants to see it executed. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's democracy is at play, and at the end of the day, the principle of magnanimity in victory and gallantry in defeat was embraced wholeheartedly by both the winner and the person that was defeated. So there's no victor, no vanquished. It is democracy that is victorious at the end of the day.
Right before the inauguration and elections, we actually saw a lot of lobbying going on. We also saw even the president himself get involved in talking to the lawmakers before the elections. And during the elections, we actually saw how it played out in both chambers of the National Assembly. It was a smooth win for Honorable Tajuddin Abbas in the House of Representatives, but it was slightly different in the Senate because we saw that contestation between the two contenders. Why was it so difficult for the Senate to have a consensus?
Well, you know, the Senate consists of people that have reached the pinnacle of their career, people that are well-rooted in their beliefs, as compared to the House of Representatives, where you have the youthful exuberance, the youthful vibrancy, and what have you. So that is why it was a smooth sail in the House of Representatives, while in the Senate there is very deep-seated contestation for the seat of the Senate presidency because because of the number of senators that we have, which is very few compared to number of the members of the House of Representatives. And then it was an open ballot in the House of Representatives, open ballot, while in the Senate it was a secret ballot. So these two factors generally contributed to the outcome of the election, the way the outcome came out.
All right, moving on from the election, the task ahead of the 10th National Assembly is quite enormous, and one of the issues on the front burner is the issue of the implementation of the fuel subsidy removal. How can you say government can cushion the effect already being felt by this development?
Well, the Senate and indeed the National Assembly, as representative of the people, will strive strenuously to make sure that resolutions and laws or bills that were passed are in tandem with the wishes and aspirations of generality of Nigerians. We are accountable and responsive to the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians because they are the ones that gave us the mandate to serve them. So whatever we are doing, in all our actions, in all our thinking, is to jealously guard and protect the interests of Nigerians. So as such, effort will be made to bring about palliatives that will cushion the effect of the increase in the price of fuel, like provision of mass transportation. I'm even thinking about the increase in the minimum minimum wage take-home pay of the Nigerian worker and what have you, with a view to cushioning the effect of this increase in the fuel subsidy, because we have to be realistic. It has really astronomically shot off the price of goods and services, and there is no way we can defend a situation whereby the wages of workers will be growing at arithmetic progression while the prices of goods and services will be growing at geometric progression. So we have to take deliberate efforts by way of legislation and then on the side of the executive policy pronouncements that will cushion the effect of the increase in the price of fuel.
We have also seen some of the significant role the private sector are also trying to play in, mitigating this, mitigating the effect of the hardship caused by, bringing up innovations such as vehicles that run on natural gas. What do you think of this innovation, and how do you think government can also come in to work in partnership with the private sector to, make this a reality and, also soften the
Yes, government can leverage on the Petroleum Industry Act that was passed by the National Assembly very recently and assented to by Mr. President. Can leverage on the Petroleum Industry Act for the purpose of complementing the effort of the private sector, but more especially with regard to utilization of gas for the purpose of use of vehicles. It will go a lot way in enhancing or reducing the cost of transportation, because we have abundance of gas resources that remains untapped. So by using gas for the purpose of powering our vehicles, it will go a long way in reducing our dependence on PMS, because it is less costly. And then government can also take deliberate steps by way of maybe tax reduction of tax, tax holidays and what have you, to the private sector or business outfits that embarked upon production of vehicles for mass transportation that uses gas, that is powered by gas, tax holidays, tax incentives, and other incentives government can provide with a view to encouraging the private sector to drive that purpose.
All right, we'll take a short break now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, we have been speaking to Senator Moguno, and he has been telling us all about the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly and other sundry issues. Now let's talk about the first step of President Bola Tinubu's administration. What is your assessment of this so far?
Well, my assessment is that Mr. President has kept pace with the renewed hope agenda, which he sold to Nigerians, that eventually culminated in his election as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he has kept faith with that. He has kept faith with Nigerians. And so far, all the actions that he has taken, for example, more particularly, the removal of the fuel subsidy, the bringing about of single exchange rate, all these issues that will go a long way in strengthening the Nigerian economy. For example, the issue of fuel subsidy. We are subsidizing neighboring countries, and it is not Nigerians that benefit from this issue of fuel subsidy. It is our neighboring countries and a cabal that mostly benefit from this subsidy. So it is better to remove the subsidy and then direct these resources to our much needed infrastructure needs, and then also to some social programs that will directly impact on the living standards of the people. And that is exactly what Mr. President intends to do with the resources generated from the removal of fuel subsidy, because it consumes a lot of money that, if budgeted and deployed properly, will definitely uplift the living standards of the people, rather than subsidizing foreign countries and a very few cabal. So it's a good policy in the right direction. And then also the going back to the single exchange window will also go a long way in strengthening the economy. As I told you earlier on, will also the attendant effect of having positive impact on the lives of Nigerians.
Another move by Mr. President that has gotten him a lot of accolades is the suspension of the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele. You know, a lot of people see this as a welcome development. Do you also share this thought?
Well, for Mr. Emefiele, well, the facts are very obvious. It's in the public domain. At a point, he even disobeyed Supreme Court order with regard to the issue of the Naira redesign, and then the redesign of the Naira was also done against very people are not happy with the way and manner it was executed.
Okay, another thing a lot of people are curious about is who would make the ministerial list. What would be your advice to the government, to the executive, and what should Nigerians actually expect from them, and what should actually be key?
Well, Mr. President, in choosing his cabinet, should always endeavor to put square pegs in square holes. Mr. President has already said that he is a person that hunts for talents. He goes after people that have more talents than him in order to deliver. Mr. President is also known for that based on his track record of performance as governor of Lagos State and based on his track record of performance of surrounding himself with people that can deliver. It's very clear and obvious to all Nigerians that from his track record that Mr. President usually puts square peg in square holes and surround himself with people that can deliver. It is clear while he was serving as Lagos State Governor, and that same thing will be replicated at the national level. But in doing that, Mr. President is also a politician to the core. In doing that, he's going to carry the politicians also along, because they are the ones who went through to all the nooks and crannies of the country, campaigning, sold the manifesto to Nigerians before we were voted into power.
On a final note, you were a member of the House of Representatives for over 20 years, I believe, and now you have moved to the Senate. What will be different for you this time, and what kind of legislation should Nigerians expect from you?
Well, in the House of Representatives, my constituency is only 3 local governments, but now as a senator, my constituency is now 10 local governments. So I will strive strenuously to deliver dividends of democracy to them. And my constituency, initial constituency, while serving as a member of the House of Representatives and now serving as a senator, is a constituency that is hit by the problem of insecurity, especially the Boko Haram insurgency, which has culminated in people being displaced, people lost their means of livelihood, our economy is in a state of comatose, our infrastructure has been destroyed. Though kudos to the Buhari government, because before, even in the wildest of my dreams, I cannot think of going to my hometown of Moguno, but today I can go and then sleep with my 2 eyes closed and whatever. So the government deserves a pat on the back for that. What I will strenuously do now, and also our governor, he has done tremendously well in terms of returning back our displaced people to their respective communities to pick the pieces of their lives and whatever. So what I'm going to do is to work towards consolidating on the gains made by my constituency in terms of security that they have achieved now, and then in terms of return of displaced people to their respective communities. So I will embark upon empowerment, massive empowerment of women and children with startup packs and what have you, so that they can pick the pieces of their lives now that they have started returning back, or those that have returned back to their respective communities. And then one thing that I'm so passionate about is that I think I was still going to pursue it vigorously is, one is the issue of women participation in government. I was one of those who championed the cause of women participation in government. I was one of those who preached the gospel of women participation in government, and even voted in favor of all the bills, all the constitutional amendment bills that are in favor of women participation in government. So in the Senate, I'm going to be in the forefront of resuscitating those bills, lobbying and also championing the cause of women participation in governance, because we cannot afford to leave about 50% of our population out of our governance structure. And because of the nature of our society, which is patriarchal in nature, does need, like in other climes, to take deliberate steps. To take deliberate steps that will bring about inclusion and women participation in governance. Because if we allow it to the normal course of democracy as we know, and because of the deep-rooted patriarchal culture, deep-rooted patriarchal culture of our society, across the nooks and crannies of the country, whether it is Yoruba nation, or Hausa nation, or Igbo nation, or Kanuri nation, our society in Nigeria, that is one thing that is unique, that cut across the nooks and crannies of the country, is the fact that our society is patriarchal in nature. And therefore, we have to take deliberate steps by way of legislation and constitutional amendment to bring about inclusion and women participation in governance. That thing, I'm going to champion it in the Senate.
That is all on our program this week. You can watch this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel and also see a repeat broadcast at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adeoye. See you next time.